All right, cool.
It's hard to focus.
All right, cool. Everybody ready to go here? Everybody, thumbs up, thumbs down. All right, coolio. So today most years we do a memorial ride for the Dakota 38, which is a memorial ride for a set of 38 Dakota men that were massacred by a mass hanging at the signing of Abraham Lincoln during a Dakota uprising in Minnesota. So we can't do the ride this year because of COVID, among like the other 500 things that get canceled this year because of it. So we're kind of doing this in its place because the riders every year kind of come here. We house them usually in the playhouse or auxiliary gyms or, you know, that kind of thing. So they have a place to kind of stop on their ride over to the side of the execution. So this is going to be more of a panel discussion. We have we have Josette, who kind of helps with the ride. She's right here. And then we have other speakers who have either helped out with the ride or know a lot about it and things like that. So we're going to kind of guide this along with different questions that the officers and I have come up with and moving through. And then because I might get anxious speaking, I might have them ask some of them or things like that. So we're going to move into like why we titled the topic Wiping Our Tears. So for the people in the in-ed classes, that you've probably covered the 7 ceremonies. And one of those sacred ceremonies is the wiping of tears, which is usually something held a year after somebody has died, so that a family could basically come back from a year of grieving away from, because usually they're away from the tribe for the year, so they can grieve that loss. So I figured it works as a good title because we are kind of still scarred by what had happened, especially since a lot of those men killed in that hanging were medicine men and leaders of the tribes. And so we're kind of still mourning their loss because, you know, we get a lot of generational impact from something that mass scale. Because frankly, you never like seeing 38 people die, but you also don't want 38 leaders and loved ones to go away, especially in this case, they were trying to get food and everybody to the rest of the tribes because the cavalry basically said, you guys get to starve because we're fighting a civil war. That was the nice backdrop to that. So we're gonna move to the first question, which will be what impact does not having the ride this year? Specifically, what effect does this have on the mourning process? And so I think we'll have Josette go first on answering the question, and then we'll just go down the speakers in order the Zoom list here. So Josette, if you could.
Good evening. I'm Josette Peltier, and hello, Jennifer. I've been with the ride since 2007. Do a lot of helping with organizing. I met a lot of great people. Every year we have new ones that get involved. I do the cooking. I have been doing the cooking since I think 2008, 9. So it's been like having to call off the ride this year has really, I know has put a lot of impact with feelings and the looking forward to meeting family again and carrying prayers and remembering our loved ones, our 38 plus 2 warriors. Every year, it's not only a memorial ride, but it's also a reconciliation. We're healing, and we're also bringing the healing across as we travel to the communities that we come into. For all peoples, we're not doing this for ourselves. We are honoring and remembering our ancestors, but it's also a prayer ride for healing for all mankind. I believe that we do this in order to bring good healing to every human being on this planet. And the ride has really impacted the world. We get a lot of people that follow the ride. So this year is going to really be something that, to me, is going to, I feel that it's going to affect a lot of the people that are always getting ready for December 10th through the 26th. So it is having an impact, not only on those of us that prepare for it, but the riders themselves. We get a lot of riders that come from all over. And now this year, they're, I know probably, feeling bad about not being able to come and carry prayers for their families, their communities. A lot of them bring a lot of that with them to help heal within themselves, their families, their communities. They pray for Mother Earth. They pray for everyone. That's how we are. And so the impact on not having it is, I feel it's going to really be hard. So with that, I just, for speaking for the ones that I carry, that through prayer, that's what's going to get us through. Being in prayer, the 16 days that we're not on the ride. It's not only the 16 days, this goes all year. All year we pray and we carry on to the next year. And the next year we bring more good thoughts, good energy, because we're all in this together. We're all here for a purpose. Creator has brought a purpose for each one of us, and it's up to us as our own individual to find out what our purpose is here. And for me, and I'm not one to really say, let's not do the race card. We're here to help, and we're here to be a good relative to each other. Because that's what, with Christianity, they say, we're all created equal. God created each and every one of us. We believe that too. Our skin color may be different, but we all have what's in here. We are all given a good heart. And I believe that with the ride, we're bringing that to the communities. More and more people are seeing that. And it's what our ancestors want of us, to remember them. Because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here. And for them to be tragically taken the way they were, that brings sadness to us. So we do this ride in honor of them and remembering them. So yes, it's a big impact on our people for the ride not to go this year. And my brother put the staff to rest because this virus is a mysterious killer. We don't even know. And at first they were saying elders, but now it's affecting all ages. So he put the staff to rest for this year to think of all others. We don't want to jeopardize anybody. We don't want to have anything bad happen. So this ride being put to rest this year is going to have a big impact on a lot.
All right, and then with our nice Zoom order, we will go with Clarice. I'll go with you first. So
I'm by no means an expert. I would, I followed the ride. I haven't been there for a lot of years, but I would definitely say, no one's ever been through something like this before. We've never experienced it. And this is definitely an important time to realize that things are going to change. And I think we have to deal with what we're dealing with now to save our people. I'm a nurse. I work on the reservation in Fort Peck, Montana. I grew up off the reservation and I came back, and I've always wanted to serve my people. And I just think next year we're going to need some healing. But this year we need to stay safe. And it's hitting us the worst. Not just my reservation, but all reservations. And so not only does this ride mean healing, but it means moving forward. And if we're going to be a part of this world, we have to deal with what's going on now, and we have to deal with it well, and we have to go through the grieving of losing our loved ones. So I think that it's a wise decision as a nurse, as a healthcare professional, but I think it's also, we can find other ways to be around each other like this. It's, many of us will never be the same after this. So next year is going to be, you just got to keep moving forward. So I'm done.
All right, thank you for that. And then I guess the next one in the order is Jennifer. Test the mic here.
Thank you. I think that what Josette, hey Josette, I miss seeing your face, and Clarice have said is about keeping safe this year, right? The ride itself has been so powerful, and the healing and the reconciliation gone on. Josette, you talked about coming into the community and having the ride be a part of that, and the reconciliation definitely between communities, the white community, the indigenous community, the communities that the riders go through. This year is hard. And this year, though I'm not there, like Clarice, I follow the ride. There's a special place in my heart for the riders that we've met, for the riders that are new. And part of the healing is going to be what the Indigenous Union has done, what Josette has done. It's coming into the community in a different way. We're Zooming. I don't know how many people are on. If we hit one person, watch the movie, talk about it, start healing, start praying, however you pray, to whomever you pray to. I think we can take this year and step back and sit back and figure out ways to move forward again in the future.
All right, thank you for that. So we are a little sad about the ride. I didn't get to participate last year with helping, but I know some of our other officers have. And so we have Duncan and Nathan, you were both helping last year?
I did last year.
All right, so,
I was there, yeah.
So Duncan, he's our resident, like not non-native officer. But he's been here helping the ride for the last couple of years, and not having it this year does affect us to an extent, because that's kind of our big thing our student association does help with. But I feel like we're gonna move on to maybe a slightly happier note, because I don't know how long I can talk about COVID and mourning for too much. So we're gonna go to the second question, which is, what is a typical day for the riders, like when they conduct the ride-in? Josette, we'll have you come up here, because I think that something popped up on the microphone yelling at me a little bit about audio, so I'll have you come up here.
Typical day for the riders. I'd say we get up pretty early. I get up at 4. and get the coffee on and the riders. One of the guys that really helps me with the cooking and that, his name is Keith Nichols. He's from Wisconsin, and he is one that goes out. Him and a couple of the other young ones go out and they check the horses, make sure the water, they have water, their hay is good. Make sure that the horses are in where they're supposed to be. In the meantime, myself and some of the ladies were getting breakfast started for the riders. We make sure we feed them a good, nutritious breakfast. And morning prayers are said. Smudge is taken around. The staff carrier, Wilfred Keeble, gets the day going for us. We have morning prayers and they smudge the horses and they have prayer songs and everybody gets ready and they sing and the horses go around, and in our way, the number 4 is really a sacred number. And they go around 4 times, and then the riders they leave to where we start from. We take off with the staff, and we've been doing legs, 7-mile legs, depending on the distance between the communities. So after so many miles, they'll stop and then fresh horses and different riders will take this. Wilford will choose who's going to carry the staff, and then they take the staff, and the riders that are riding will follow. And we do this until we get to the next community. But a typical day is, them riding, and the weather's been really good to us these last couple of years. There's years where they've rode where it was blizzarding, where the winds were really strong. So we always try to have, while the ones that cook, and we always make sure we have like hot coffee, and we have Indian tea, chayaka. We always have that for them. Water. We have snacks for them whenever they stop. We always try to have something for them to keep them, keep their energy level up and that. And then when we get at a certain point, then we make sure they have lunch. We have lunch ready for them, and we have drinks so that they'll be able to, if it's cold, then they'll have coffee or tea, and then they ride till we get to the next community, and then we go ahead of them and we get supper ready, and horses, when they pull in, then we go and we meet, we gather, and again prayers are said for the day, for the evening, and then they put the horses away, and then they come in and then we say evening prayer, bless the food, and then we feed them, and then after they're done eating in that, then they're a lot of them just gather together. They'll sing, they'll drum, they'll play cards. Some of them get on their tablets or whatever they bring, and they'll get a hold of family. A lot of them get on their phones and talk to their family members. So a typical day is just being in prayer and knowing that we're what I say is like a winter Sundance. I don't know if any of you have been to Sundance, but in the summer, we gather and we come together, and those that are dancing, they're in prayer the whole time that they're dancing, and the supporters are praying for them. So we call it a winter Sundance. And so before the ride, we talk about the alcohol and drug usage, and it's you're coming in with a clear mind and a good heart, and you're here to help pray and honor and heal. So a typical day is just getting together in the evenings after they get done riding, and they'll sing, and we have a talking circle. Sometimes the men will have their own and the women will have theirs. And some nights they have, we all come together as a whole and everyone will, if they have something to share, then they talk about it. And we smudge and then call it a night. So that's a typical day of, the riders. So it's, like I said, the weather's really been good to us. So it's, everybody's looks forward to just, getting ready for the next day. And a lot of talking goes on with the young riders. We've had a lot of young riders as the years progressed. And so it's, we always try to have something for the young ones, games and different things, snacks, but that's a typical day. We just remember that we're in prayer and we're riding and we're family. Thank you.
All right, and then, all right, so from here we'll go to maybe a more specific type of question, like a specific under that same type line of question where if you guys have a unique experience with the ride or unique experience with the ride in Madison or anything like that, Clarice and Jennifer, I'll have you guys give a personal experience with the ride and stuff. So we'll go in the same order again. So Clarice, you're next.
The only thing that I super remember is waiting out a storm, and Jen and I were talking about this earlier this week. The first year that they came in, it was, or was it the second year? It was awful. We didn't even know if we didn't know the extent of really anything. And after watching the video, man, it was worse than we ever thought. We were just waiting for them. We had dinner planned and people to come and see them. And I mean, you can't expect anything with a storm like that. But that's why I don't really know what they went through every day. That's the video was amazing. So I'm glad that I got to hear and see what it was like the whole way. So I'll let Jen take over after that.
So the year that Smooth Feather did the filming was the year that you'll see DSU on there, and it was the year of this horrendous storm. And we didn't really know a lot about the ride. Clarice, unmute yourself because this is a great story. How did we find out about the ride?
I know that we got a phone call from Silas. I don't remember a lot, and that's what I was telling Jen, is I feel like that's a part of, how you move forward is you just do what you have to do. But we went to Dr. Knowlton and got it approved. We had to go and get catering from DSU. I don't remember how they ended up finding some place to put the horses. I think they did that by themselves.
Right. And that's kind of how the whole ride went for us. Somehow things came together. Our ancestors were watching. We were being taken care of. We didn't expect the riders would even be able to come. I think DSU had closed that day.
Yeah.
And so we were in constant communication with the filmmakers and the riders and, Casualine's class, because we were just starting that year to understand what this ride was about, what Jim Miller's vision was about, and that they were going through Madison and we didn't know.
Yeah.
That
I feel like 38+2 was the first time I actually knew there was a genocide.
right.
And it really opens up your eyes once you find out and you want to know more. And I think Jen was the best one to be like, look it up. Can't you just tell me?
No, and that was part of it, was finding out the history. And then Clarice was able to share that with Dr. Knowlton, the president at the time, the importance to our community. It turned out, Josette, I'm sure that this happens a lot during the ride. It turned out that there were folks whose ancestors had been responsible for locking up some of the riders' ancestors. I mean, it was just, there were all these connections. You started to understand this was what healing and reconciliation was about. So, you know, there were so many instances of not knowing what was going to happen next. Somehow it all came together.
All right. And so from there, we're going to move to maybe another topic, which gets a little bit more interesting as far as like, because it's kind of building off the idea where like you guys didn't know about the ride right away and everything like that. Do you guys think there's better ways that like either the state of South Dakota or the state of Minnesota or even the academic community, are there things that they could do better, or about advertising or teaching people that this ride exists and what it's for? Like, what are some ideas you have for getting this out to more people? Josette, I'll have you come back up. We should have gotten like a bar stool or like a tall chair for you.
I think bringing awareness, I think, well, they should have put it in the textbooks, right? They should have put it out there, you know, instead of sweeping it under the rug. I think bringing awareness to the ride. I don't like this mask, but I'm trying to be safe because I'm an elder. I think bringing awareness to the ride. I think it should start. We should start teaching it in school. They should start educating our young ones, our little ones, and letting them know, you know, you don't have to tell them the gory detail, but I think they need to know what the history. I think that's how we're all going to heal. I think that the awareness has to come from within of each individual. How many of you people knew about this? How many of you are aware of it? How many of you, how long did it take you to find out about this? Did you know about it? Not too many, huh?
I did a speech for the dialysis, the nephrology of Montana nurses conference, and there was maybe 11 or 12 of us there, and no one knew, and those were adults in Montana.
I think the awareness for like, I think the schools, bringing it to the schools, to the universities, start maybe at the elementary level and then bringing it up to, because when we go through the communities now, and this was like 5 years ago, maybe 8 years ago, we were never asked. Hardly anybody came to we'd see, you know, they'd see us, but nobody ever came and talked or, you know, talked to the writers or anything. But over the years, every community that we go into now, they're asking the writers to come and to talk to the students. One of the places in Minnesota, they asked if the writers could come and the kids wanted to see them. So they brought the whole student body out and the riders rode through. And we felt that was healing for not only them, because the kids didn't understand. So over the years, they've been asking the riders to come into the schools and talk. And so we've been sending the younger ones to talk to their own age group. And so I feel that that's really bringing the awareness to our children as well as the adults. So I think bringing awareness to each community, through each community, and helping them to understand. You know, I think that's one good way of. I know we've been having a lot of newspaper reporters showing up. Had this guy come from Mankato, and he followed the ride. Every day he would be, and then we had this, he was indigenous, and his language, his accent was really different. So I don't know, I didn't really get to talk with him. But he came and he had his, and you know, he took pictures in the evenings and that, and we asked him not to take pictures when we're circling up and that, and he was really good about that. But I think he was from a different, I want to say a different country just by his accent, or maybe from out east, I don't know. But so I think, you know, it's getting out there. I didn't know about the ride. I didn't know about the ride until 2005, when my brother had the dream. So, like I said, it's really an amazing, amazing journey for me. I've learned so much. I've learned about my ancestors. I've learned about, I got my Dakota name on the ride. And I think that's bringing the awareness out, helping one another, reaching out. Like how we always say, be a good relative, even if you don't know that person. You know, now we can't do it with COVID, shake hands or give hugs, but you know, you can do the elbow and it's fun. But I think after this year, I think the awareness is going to start coming out more. Thank you.
Clarice, Jennifer, do you have anything to add to that? All right, so we'll move to the.
Oh, yeah, I do.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Like, we're talking about academia? You bet I do. I think that we need to understand, just like month for Black, Indigenous people of color, this is not one time. This is not, you know, from 5,000 years ago. This is a great-great-grandfather. This is someone's family. And so I think that academia can do a heck of a lot more. You know what Josette said is, when we were involved with Flandreau Indian School, you know, for students to be able to see themselves, that's power. So think about students in post-secondary. Where are the Indigenous professors? Where are the people who reflect who they are? DSU has institutionalized many things. Sponsoring a community dinner for the ride, that's one. But it's not a one-time-a-year life. This is culture. This is healing. This is reconciliation. It doesn't happen one time. It's not just when the riders come through. So the commitment needs to come from institutions. The commitment needs to be 365, 24/7. for your students, for each other, for your community. So I would go on all night, but that's a start.
All right. So in that same line of thought of what academia or the states or anybody can do to bring awareness to the ride, we're going to go to another set of question or discussion, which is, so have there been other issues outside of, say, an environmental factor like a storm or COVID or something that has kind of hindered the ride or hindered its ability to reach more people? What obstacles has the ride faced in recent years?
I think we faced the communication amongst communities. I think not only the weather, I think some of the things that hindered the ride is just people being aware, but not for whatever reason. I know I feel that a lot of it comes from, how do you want to say, jealousy, that ignorance, all the negative, that negative energy that stirs up when something good is coming. There's always going to be something out there, always obstacles in front of us. And that's one of the things we talk about to the riders is you're riding for a good cause, you're riding for healing, you're riding for reconciliation. Keep your mindset focused. Think about why you're doing this. Everything that you put into your prayers at the beginning of the ride when you held that staff and you committed. Make your commitment strong for yourself, for your families, for your communities, for the people, for all people. And so I think a lot of that negative follows you no matter, in everyday life, negativity is going to be there. But I believe that no matter how much negativity, there's always going to be positive because the good always outweighs the bad. So there's things that come up in that we work through it as a group, as a whole, as a moving camp. That's what we are. We're all a family. That's why when the riders come together, we greet each other because we're family. In our minds and in our hearts, we're family. And we come together and we take whatever comes at us and we work through it. And we try to leave the negativity out. Because in the Sundance, that's what you do. You come in with a good heart. Whatever you're carrying, you leave that back there. You come in with a good heart because you're doing this not only for yourself, but your family, your communities. You're doing it for our ancestors. You're doing it for the horses. The horses are our relatives. You're doing it for everything, every good thing that you can think of. So I feel that whatever comes our ways, weather, people with the negative, whatever, we work through it. We pray about it. And hopefully with this COVID, we'll be able to look back on it next year. We've lost a lot of people, a lot of relatives, a lot of people in not only this country, but all the country in the world. We've lost people. And I feel that was unnecessary. But like we've been told, there had to be change. And with that change comes good. We'll never go back to being how it was, but we can move forward and we can help one another get through it. Be a good relative to one another. Pray for each other. And keep in mind that we're gonna be okay. We're gonna go get through it. I think no matter what hindrance comes, we're gonna be able to continue in a good way. Okay.
All right, Jennifer, Clarice, do you have anything else to add?
When I rewatched the video, I noticed, it looked like around day 10, everybody started to get pretty tired. They were starting to feel it. They were starting to get a little sick, a little agitated, things were happening. And I think that this ride sometimes, it shows you what life is like. That's behind me. It shows you what life is like. And at some point you're always going to come to a point in your life where you have to choose, am I going to keep going? And am I going to go back to my old ways? And, I think this ride really helps people to move forward and to realize that they can keep moving forward. And I think, especially during COVID, when we're tired and we're sick and we're ready to give up, we just got to keep going and keep doing what we think is right.
I think part of the honor that we had hosting during the years was being able to hear the stories and being able to understand that part of the ride and going through different communities was also facing that fear. We were blessed to have some time with Billy Ray. And I will not cry. And when he talked about, having to deal with the Wasichu and knowing that maybe this community wasn't going to accept the riders and wasn't going to give the riders a sense of being part of the world, that was something that he had to work through. And I think that's something that, as Black, Indigenous people of color, that's something we all can go through. And that was part of the healing with the ride for us. And it was part of riding through that fear. And I think it gave us strength too. So even as Josette said, even with the negative, we pushed through, and there were people who were bringing us along.
All right, with that, again, with that same line, communication is something that tends to be a barrier. One of the things that does impede sometimes the communication is we seem to change what social media platform that's popular every year or two. So it does make it harder if you're not keeping up. I still have a MySpace account from when I was 8. I don't think anybody even looks at that website anymore. But so in that same line, because we're kind of running a little bit lower on time, we're gonna go over the one final question, which is, what can people from either outside the community or who can't attend the ride, what are ways that they can help? What are ways that they can help the riders or assist with bringing awareness to the ride?
We have a ride schedule that comes out right after the ride. We start planning meetings. And Flandreau will host a meeting. Sisseton will host a meeting. Crow Creek will host a meeting, depending on the groups of riders that have been on the ride. So right after the ride, we start planning. We have a logistics team, core group. Wilford don't like to call it a core group, but Keith Nichols is the guy that does the schedule up. He has a spreadsheet. He gets everything. And I contact everybody from west side, we call it. And we have new ones that came on board that do the Minnesota side. So I have from Lower Brule to Flandreau. Flandreau is our halfway point. And so right after the ride, then I start contacting people and start setting up. Are we able to use your pasture again this year? Or, you know, some of the churches are getting involved now. They want to feed the riders. So we get that contact information out on the schedule, and Keith updates it throughout the year. So by time September and October and November, then everything's pretty much put in place. And we give ourselves rest days, so we're able to, if there needs to be change, then we take from one of the rest days and we move up one day ahead, or, you know, however that is. So the logistics team we're in constant contact with each other, getting everything and making sure everything's in place. So we encourage people to come join us. You don't have to be Indigenous. We're all family, we're all relatives, we're all on Mother Earth for a reason. So if you're interested, come and join. If you don't know how to ride, that's fine. Whatever you can come with prayer or just being in a circle, you know, come and join us. If you can ride, that's good. Bring your horses. So we have this schedule out, and I know Cajaline has really been a big help over the years. And Jennifer, when I first met Jennifer, it was really, I remember she kept calling, and when you're on the ride, you know, you got like your phone is going off, and Keith and I ride together, so his phone is going off and he's on the phone and I'm on the phone, and we're trying to check messages, and it's just, yeah, it gets really crazy. So we try to, Cajaline will call and say, well, try and let us know like so many miles that you're out, or, you know, so we try to keep that going so they can notify the police to escort. And so it's a busy time. And then we got to keep thinking, you know, where do we have to be? Where do the riders have to be so we can get them there in time for the meals that are being served for us. And so it really gets busy. It really gets busy for us that are trying to make our moving camp move in a good way and make sure our riders are safe. With everything that's going on, the highway patrol has really been involved. When I go get the permit for the riders to be on the roadway, Travis, Brian Van Dam from DOT on South Dakota side, they've been working with us every year, and he always makes sure that he gives me the list of the highway patrol and to contact and the sheriff's offices and all this, so we can keep the riders safe, because the semis on 34 really travel when they're passes. So we have to make sure. So other than that, the logistics team for the ride has been really good at trying to get everything in place. But I encourage you all to come if you can. You know, come and even come to the meals that we have at the communities. You're more than welcome. And we have a Dakota page, Gloria Derby. She lives in England, and she is married to Chuck Derby. And he did, in the video, he made sure that the riders were taken care of in Pipestone, Minnesota. He has passed on, and Gloria went back to England, but she keeps the page, the Dakota 38 page for the riders, and I think we've got thousands, I don't know how many thousands of members, but she posts every day about the ride, And we have another page that's for the riders. And my sister Alberta takes care of that. So get on Facebook and you'll be able to see that. You'll be able to see, and we're trying to get something going. I know it's kind of late in the game, but we're trying to get something going for the 16 days that we usually do the ride. So there's talk about that, but that's going to be on, they'll put it on the pages. So Wilfred Keeble is our staff carrier, and on our schedule, his name and number. He has a email address where you can get a hold of him. Keith Nichols, his number and his email. Myself, we have Todd Feeney in Minnesota. That's a big help to us. Ruth Anderson, she's come on board. So we've got a lot of new people that are coming on, and I think that's being a big help to us. And so if you can't join, watch the ride, watch what we have daily update on the rides, what's going on. But like I said, this year we're not really to rest for this year. So hopefully next year we draw, things will go good and we'll be able to continue. And I feel that it's just been one of those themes. But yeah.
All right, Clarice and Jennifer, if you have anything to add.
I think you guys should pick one person to go. Pick one person and get a go cam. Because if you go as one person, they'll probably put someone that they'll put you under their wing, and they'll include you in everything. They'll take care of you. You'll have if you go in pairs, it's so easy to just sit back and be together. They'll just take good care of you. They'll pick someone, and I just think it would be an amazing experience. Put yourselves out there. Somebody's got to do this. We've been doing this for what, 10 years, 12 years?
15.
It's 15. It's time. Someone do it. Otherwise, Jen and I are going to come over there and do it. I got 2 horses, Jen. By the end, my mare will be broke.
I'm ready. I think we have to remember that, if you can't ride, if you can't be on the planning committee, there is so much more to do. Pray. Talk about this. Get this into your schools. Dakota 38 movie is free in accordance with the teachings. This is a gift. Not the gift. Why isn't it at your school? Why isn't it? Why are the I'm assuming Indian ed kids in the audience? Every class, this should be mandatory. Sorry, I'm gonna start going on again.
Do they offer an Indian ed class now? Does Madison, South Dakota offer an Indian education class?
Yes.
The university does, yes.
Wow. I grew up in Madison. And let me tell you, I am a light-skinned native, but my brother and my dad and my grandma are not. And Madison was not always like that. So I know there's way far to go, but I am amazed. I was one of 2 other families that grew up there. So that's pretty cool. I didn't know that.
If I can add, my brother Jim travels a lot. They are always inviting. He's been to San Quentin, I think twice. He's taken this documentary into the prisons. Him and Alberta travel throughout the country doing workshops. They show the documentary, and they've been into treatment centers. Jim has gone to Australia with the documentary. it's shown in so many languages now. Let me see, what else is it? I traveled with him a couple years back to Canada, and we took the documentary into the treatment centers up there in the different reserves. And now they've started rides of their own up there in the Cree Nation and the Dakota nations up there. They've started their own horse rides for healing for the residential school. For the children that were taken to residential schools. So he has brought a lot of awareness, not only here in the United States, but the different countries. And they are always asking him to come and show the documentary and talk. So invite him, bring him in. Him and Alberta, they work as a team, and they really do some awesome work, especially with the treatment centers and the prisons and that. And I think that needs to happen. That needs to happen for the people that are less fortunate to know that there are people out there that care. No. Thank you.
All right. So we're kind of getting towards the end of our time here. So if anybody in the audience have questions for either the NASA officers, Josette, Clarice, or Jennifer, anybody have questions? All right. If we don't have questions, we'll conclude this for now. The last few notes to kind of go over and summarizes. Please do take this, since this will be on YouTube, you can share it to people. With this discussion, also send a link to, again, the documentary is free. People can see it. Because one of the things we have very much institutionalized, not only at DSU or even in this state, is we've kind of swept a lot of Native history under the rug because we want to believe every leader we have from Washington to Abraham Lincoln was a great man and there was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But the president that did order this was Abraham Lincoln, the great uniter. So I would encourage everybody here to either to grab a historical figure you kind of hold up in high regards and then scrutinize the living hell out of them and see what they did wrong. Because we could even go into the 1910s and around Irish areas where we have like a lot of Irish German families here. And I have a German relative, her would be your grandma, talked about how they couldn't speak German in their own household even, much like how natives, we had our languages beaten out of us through boarding schools and XYZ because they were considered not American if they spoke German of all things. And so I would encourage everybody to try to pick historical figures, educate yourself, maybe go to your school, your old high school, or even here at DSU, see if you can organize speaking events to bring awareness to things like that. Or try to talk to the boarding school members, try to add things to the curriculums, because the history courses kind of got a little bit fine-tuned and propagated a little bit. So I would encourage everybody, that's one way to help bring more awareness. And so if that's the one big takeaway, take that. Please spread the word. Also, there are Facebook pages, things like that, so you can get involved with the ride, help out. Hopefully, if next year doesn't have a huge pandemic overhanging it again, we do hold food here. We do help, so you can always come help serve food and stay over the winter break and do help us, because it's, I think, be about the mid portion of our winter break. And so you could always stay the extra week after finals and help out with that, if that's the only way you can kind of help at that time. So with that, we'll conclude this. Doksha, everybody. Thank you for coming. I know some of you guys came here because the in-ed class told you so, but thank you for coming. You guys have a great evening. And then if you guys want to talk to any of these lovely people again, as they said, you can find them by email or phone call or Facebook, and you can ask more questions that way if you're a little too shy to ask right now. So everybody have a great evening. Hopefully we'll see you all again soon. So
Thank you. It's been an honor.
it's nice meeting you guys. I'm sorry I was kind of haven't met you guys yet. So All right.
Thanks, Miles.
Yep. Have a good one. Not sure. How do we close out of this? Because I think we have to close the YouTube live too. But see you guys. So you guys are free to go. I'm not keeping you here. I just now need to figure out how I end the computer. We're supposed to call Tyler back and to deal with it, or do we just end the Zoom call? I'm just concerned what does YouTube do?
Photoshop.